Hello, everyone. It's Sarah here with Purple Angel Oracle. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, I am going to go over some of the questions I had received when I posted on my community board about any suggestions or questions any of you might have. Now, once again, these are just my insights. I'm not claiming that these insights are going to resonate as your truth. It always comes down to each individual and what feels right to you. Okay. And then there were some questions that were a little over my head that I'm just not going to get into because it's not really my area of expertise. As I've said so many times before, every light worker is different. We have different techniques. We have different interests, depending on what star system you came from, right? Or what uh, different realms we came from before this. I mean, every blueprint in each of us is different. So we're going to have different things that we resonate with and different techniques, of course. But I will provide some of my insights or how I've handled some of these things. And one of the main ones I got was how to transmute energy. How do we know we've transmuted something, or transmuting negative thought forms? Okay, so I'll start with the transmuting negative thought forms. Now, as light workers, many of us transmute energy without consciously knowing that we are, because we already naturally hold that vibration of love. And to transmute something, you're taking a lower vibrational energy and transmuting it or changing it to a higher vibrational energy. And like I said, because many light workers being empaths, being highly sensitive, we do many things just purely out of love, if not everything. So we do this naturally, most of the time. Okay, that's just something to remember. But as far as like a negative thought form that comes in, okay, and this is just human conditioning. This is our ego. Um, these come in constantly for many people, and they get pretty annoying. They really can. And so here's some examples of some negative thought forms. I'm not good enough. I need more. I'm not attractive enough. Those types of things that hold a lower vibration, because those aren't true. Those really, if you look at those, that's not true. Because the higher vibrational aspect of yourself, your higher self, is never going to come in saying those things to you. Okay? So, what you can do if these are reoccurring thoughts and you're not sure how to get rid of these, and you really don't have to get rid of them, you will do this naturally at some point. But I went through this as well, and I still have to do it because these thoughts come in. But the first thing you can do is just be aware of those thoughts. The main thing to do, as you're navigating through this, is be aware, right? I mentioned that in my previous video. Be aware of what thoughts are coming in. And just look at them. Just say, or even write it down. How many times did you say that about yourself in one day? And that's the first step, is just being aware, waking up, right? Being consciously aware of your thoughts in every now moment. Okay, so that's like the first step, is just maybe for a couple days, look at them and be like, wow, I really say that about myself a lot. And so every time that comes in, that's the vibration that you're kind of sitting at that point. And just see them for what they are and get used to that. And then, begin to ask what your higher self would say. How can you change that thought around? How can you change that energy into something that's higher vibrational energy? So your higher self would say, I am more than enough. I am perfect just as I am, and I have all that I need. Okay? And you can continue doing this as many times as you want until that becomes your truth, and it is the truth. You're changing that energy, and transmuting that energy instantly. It's actually very simple, just by changing the vibration that comes along with it. So when that thought comes in, just change it up. Just say, no, wait a minute, I am more than enough, and know it, believe it. And that goes for any energy you come across. If you come across a situation where you feel helpless, someone's suffering, someone's in pain, visualize them not in pain. Visualize yourself sending them love. And if you don't visualize with pictures or things like that, you can use words. Just sending picture words. You are no longer in pain. I've healed you. I love you. Just by sending anything with a higher vibrational frequency, you've transmuted it. And the key factor is believing that you did. Knowing that just by doing that simple thing, you changed it. You did it. And of course, when you're able to physically help someone or do things in your day-to-day life that lift someone's spirits, then you'll do that. As a light worker, we naturally want to help and we do what we can. But there are situations where we feel helpless and we can't reach somebody in the physical sense. So that's a really great way to transmute that energy, is just by visualizing somebody not suffering, somebody in a state of joy. And yourself, that goes for yourself as well. If you're feeling depressed, you're feeling anxious, visualize yourself not feeling those things, feeling in a higher vibrational state, and try to actually feel it. What would that feel like? It's literally all within you, and it's so simple. It's just about believing that you did it. Believe, believe, believe. That's the main thing in this entire process. Truly, the entire ascension here is to believe and trust that it is actually happening, that you are making a difference, that you transmuted that energy. And that's just for the times that you're actually aware that you're doing it, because there are so many times as light workers and empaths that we're helping people just by being ourselves, just by being that sensitive, loving soul that we are. We're transmuting it without even being consciously aware. And we've been doing that our entire lives. That's why for many of us, our lives were very challenging and upsetting, because we feel everything so fully. Alrighty. And another one, and this one I've actually received quite a bit as well. This is like the most common spiritual sentence many of us hear. The answers you seek are within you, right? And many people, or many light workers too, I feel like they don't get the answers they seek. They don't have that strong connection to source. Visualization is difficult, almost like they have to force this. They're not getting the answers that they seek. Basically, they don't realize that they are, truly. And that mostly is because we often compare ourselves to other light workers. We see other light workers out there who channel information so clearly. Sometimes they channel in different voices. They have all this information, all this knowledge, and this strong connection to source that they're able to express. But once again, it's super important to remember every light worker has their own way of receiving the information. As I've said, okay? And everyone has their own unique gifts. And many of us receive our answers in a very subtle way. This process is actually very subtle. And, I can't speak for every light worker, because some light workers might hear actual different voices come in when they're channeling. But for me personally, whenever I feel something come in, it always comes through sounding like me. It's about where you're focusing your attention. So if I'm sitting here and I say to, let's say, the angels, hey angels, and ask a question, right? Instantly, a voice will come in, which it always sounds like me. It's just where I chose to focus that energy. And once again, believing that that's where that answer is coming from. And you ask your question, right? And a voice comes in, or you get an answer, and most of us will write it off and say, oh, that's just me answering myself, making it up from something I feel. And that's trying to put logic to something, right? And for me personally, I don't. I believe with my entire being that that was my answer. Now, if something comes in and it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate. It truly just depends. It's about being in tune with yourself, because when you are in tune with yourself, you are picking up on source. And another thing to remember is you are always connected to source. Whether you feel like it or not, you are always connected to source. And your answers sometimes won't come in. They're all within you, okay? All the answers are within you. The universe is within you. Every answer you can possibly imagine is within you, because we are one. So, but there are moments where you might not feel like you've received the answer to your question, and then later on down the road, it'll make sense because maybe it wasn't the right time. It's not what your higher self chose for you at that time. But as far as telling the difference between, what voices are from higher dimensions or higher vibrational energy and lower, as I've said before, your higher self or any other higher dimensional beings that you're trying to talk to, or if you're just talking straight to God, it'll always be a very comforting, loving voice. There will be no lower vibrational energy connected to it. No fear, no anger, no negativity at all. So that's a very easy way to tell the difference between the two. Okay? And your higher self and God, as I've said, is guiding you constantly without you even knowing it. Those gut feelings you get, everything that feels very physical and human sometimes is actually spiritual. It's all, it all serves a purpose. You're being guided whether you feel that connection or not. And that could have been part of your soul path that you chose, was to go through a period where you feel more disconnected than others. It's very hard to say. For me, I just believe. I believe that I, get the answers that I need and the timing that I need. I do not meditate very much at all. I pray a lot. I talk to God a lot. But my answers will just come in like randomly. Things will just come in and a spark goes off in my brain. I'm all, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Because our DNA is getting activated one by one, as I've said. So things will come up at different times that are needed for that specific time that you're at. And I don't ever really hear different voices come in. I don't hear a voice from God saying, Sarah, it's God. It doesn't come in like that for me. It sounds like me. And I get a lot of my messages come in as pictures and energy and visualizations and metaphors. And it's like a riddle you have to figure out sometimes. It's very hard to say. This is a hard question to address because every light worker is different. But I just wanted to share with you how my connection to source feels. Ever since I was a very young child, I just had this connection to something higher than me that I could not explain. And I would talk to that. And even though it might feel like you're talking to yourself sometimes, you are God. God is within you. Source is within you. The universe, whatever it is you believe in, your galactic families, the angels, the animal kingdom, we're all one. So wherever you choose to put your focus and whatever you choose to connect with in any given moment, believe that you are. And if you use your imagination and visualize it, believe that you're there. And trust that that is actually happening somewhere. That's what I do. All right, so let's see. Moving on to the next one. Empath overload. Okay, now this can include hostile energy from family and friends, losing patience, just getting overwhelmed with other people's emotions. Empath overload, right? And because, empaths are highly sensitive. I'm sure many of you know I am an empath. We hold our hearts on our sleeves and we want to help everybody. And we feel other people's emotions as if they are our own. And it can manifest as anxiety or other stress-based emotions. So when we're feeling somebody else's pain, it feels like our own. And that's why we want to help so bad, because we hate seeing others feeling that way too. And that also goes for when someone is being hostile towards us. We either get very emotional and sad about it and down on ourselves, or we get very heated and angry because we're picking up on what they are feeling as well. So when they're angry, we're angry. That's, we're very sensitive to energies and emotions, and we all struggle with this. And you can't, but you also can't take on everybody else's problems and worries. It's very hard for us to find, to walk on that fine line. But the main thing is to just try as hard as you can to not let it consume you to that point. Now, let's just talk about, let's say, hostile energy from somebody else. Now you feel that come in, you feel like you want to snap and you want to fight back at them, or because you're picking up on their energy. Once again, be aware that that's their energy you're picking up on. You are feeling that to that extent. So it's not necessarily yours. And I have found, honestly, the best way to handle these energies, the hostile ones, when someone's coming at you like that, is to either, once again, visualize that energy and see it moving into you. Like, watch their energy come in and dissolve it with the light and move on. Just send it some love and try to move on. If that doesn't work, many times I've just found to just kind of have like a whatever attitude as far as anger and hostilities go, depending on what it is. That's something, once again, each individual has to determine for themselves. But if it's something that truly is not that big of a deal, not even a rude whatever attitude, just kind of like laugh it off, whatever. Just always try to stay in a space of knowing everyone's dealing with their own stuff. And most of the time they're just projecting what they're dealing with. So it's actually, if you look at it from that perspective, they're dealing with something and that's really uncomfortable for them, and they're just lashing out at you. So it's actually sad. I tend to feel bad for somebody, like, oh, that's a crappy way to feel right now. And, maybe look at it that way. Take it to that higher vibration and say, oh, I love you. I'm sorry you're feeling that way. And that can be very difficult, because if we're picking up on someone else's energy and it rubs off on us and then we get angry, that's a hard thing to do, to switch over and look at them as if, they're just struggling, and just to show them love. But that's very important if you are able to do that in certain times. Now, if you're not, like I said, the easiest way for many things is to just kind of laugh it off. Just kind of be like, whatever. we're all dealing with stuff, okay? And to not feed into that anger as much as you can. And also, as far as picking up on other people's suffering and sadness, like we do as empaths, visualize them not feeling that way. Like I said, send them love. Just say, I love you. Even if you don't speak it, just send it. Picture that energy being sent to them, to their body. Just even the words, like watching the words, I love you, floating. You sent it into their body, and then once again, just believe that you just helped by doing that. That's truly all you can do. I don't have all the answers. I don't. But this is just how I try to deal with these things. And I still lose my temper from time to time. I snap, we're all still growing. We're all still learning. And we're in a human body. And these are just human-based things that we're still dealing with. So take it easy on yourself. And you're doing your best. And also just being aware of it. Being aware of, if you're feeling good and you walk into a room and the energy completely changes, then that's a good way you're going to know someone in there, if not several people, are not in a good energy space. And you're picking up on that. And just being aware of it. That's the best thing. And then transmuting that within yourself. That's truly all you can do. It's, you know, if they're triggering something in you, then that's something that you're still growing and learning to cope with as well. So it might be bringing up something that you need to examine within yourself. Okay. And yeah, because it's important to remember that every single person is exactly where they need to be for their own individual growth on this ascension journey. They are. They're learning their, what is the word? Lessons, I guess. They're learning their life lessons at the pace that their higher self chose for them. So there shouldn't be, if we could all on the entire planet just look at it that way, there wouldn't be any arguing, because we would just say, oh, they're learning their lessons. They're on their own path. They're at their own pace, you know, and just kind of be like, it's not, that's their life, you know, they're working on their stuff. I'm working on mine. It's not my place to tell them where they need to be. So yeah, that's kind of how I deal with it. I hope that helped. That's a tough one. That is, because as empaths, we do feel things to the extreme, and it's very hard to be conscious of that when it comes in, because it feels like our own emotions. Yeah. Okay, and this is the last one I am going to go over. And someone just said, explain the moment that the butterfly vacates the chrysalis. Now, to me, so this whole ascension starts on an individual level. So we vacate the chrysalis, right? Or our new selves are born first, and then the planet as a collective shifts. But we as a planet are in that moment right now. We're coming out of that chrysalis. We're in those final seconds or minutes of when the chrysalis starts cracking open, the beginning, and it has just begun to open. So we've been inside of this chrysalis, transforming, growing, changing, right? But we're actually watching the planet now. We're watching the planet emerge from this chrysalis, the cracking, the shedding of the old skin, the shedding of the old earth, just like an egg, just like birth. And this process is very intense. And as we're watching it, we're seeing the intensity. It's the pressure and the pushing to get out that's occurring. It's that force. It's a birth and, an egg cracking. It takes a lot of work for that little critter to get out of there. It's a lot of pressure and force. And so that's kind of what we're seeing. But once that last push happens, that last breaking point, then we've exited the chrysalis and the new earth is born. And that's what we're coming up on very, very soon here. Because you just feel this pressure. We all feel this pressure of just this rising. And it's just a matter of time before that just breaks open. And I had explained, it's just like the veil, right? This veil everyone talks about. Now we each have individual veils, and then there's the collective veil. And, it came to me in a vision, and I shared this in one of my videos, is this black sheet. It was this black, glass type of sheet. And I stabbed it with a sword, and then it started to spider, like the cracks started to spider. And that was almost the moment where, everything started to crack. It just is about ready to burst, because this pressure of us wanting to create this so badly, and we feel it, just like a butterfly knows it's time to come out of the chrysalis. So it's doing that natural process of whatever it does to get out of there, right? Pushing and the pressure. So it's the same thing. This is a natural process that the earth is going through. And actually, as I was explaining the chrysalis and the butterfly, coming out of the chrysalis, I remembered a vision my dad shared with me when I was actually very young, when he went through his major awakening. And I'll have to get details maybe and share it with you in the future. But the only thing I remember him saying was he saw an angel coming out of something, and the angel, I don't know if it was himself or a different angel, but the angel's wings just kind of like opened up and were dripping some kind of beautiful, sparkly substance. And the angel went up on like a cliffside and stood in the sun, and the wings were just dripping and drying. And then the angel took off. And that's what's happening, basically. That's, I just thought I'd share that because that's a beautiful vision he did share with me, an angel's wings dripping and drying and an angel being born. And yeah, so I just thought I would share that. That's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to just move on to some other things I wanted to discuss. What's going on the planet. So depending on, there's different awakening areas, right? Some people are just awake to, like, let's say the QAnon collective, as far as these mass arrests that are supposed to occur or might be occurring right now. Everyone's awakened to many different things right now. Okay. And not everybody is awakened to this ascension process and what's going on a way higher level here, if you're looking down at it. But then there's also people who aren't aware of any of it, who aren't aware of the horrific things going on that have been concealed from us, right, for so long. There's a lot of people that still aren't even awake to that is a possibility. But I've noticed some people in my life, it's like they're fearful about what's happening when this all kind of started. But at the same time, they feel this weird level of excitement about it. Not excitement, but just like, you try to tell them, oh, I don't worry about it, don't do that. And they're like, no, there's something really big. There's something not right about it. And they're really stuck on that idea. And it's like, it gets to the point where you're sitting there thinking, do you want this to happen? Like, it starts to feel that way. Even though they're acting like it's horrific to them, they're kind of like pushing it and pushing it. And I think what it is because within, deep within, their soul knows that this is huge. Something huge is actually happening. And many people within humanity have felt the world just could not go on the way it was. We had reached that point. It was like a worn out recording. It was like same old thing over and over. The sadness. It was just, like a worn out recording. And I've also kind of gotten the message that there's so many things taking place right now behind the scenes of this whole pandemic and all of this, of course. And it's happening behind the scenes because, and not just on an energetic level, I'm talking, on a 3D level, there's stuff going on behind the scenes. Because to not cause any more mass chaos to the situation, they're resolving it as the world is kind of engulfed in this other situation. And so that way it doesn't cause more panic, right? And it's what a better, there's no better time to take care of what needs to be taken care of, almost as the world is distracted by something else. Okay. And it's like, once it's been resolved, or the majority of it, then it's going to be revealed, because they can get whatever needs to be done in an organized fashion, and then reveal what has been done. And when I first had my awakening and was introduced to all this new information back in 2013, I was watching videos that were channeled messages, right, from the Galactic Federation of Light. I was introduced to so many things during that time. During that time as well, I was introduced to all these dark, hidden, disgusting secrets and things like that. So that's something I've been aware of for a very long time. But when I was introduced to the Galactic Federation of Light and others channeling, very often they talked about a time we were coming up on where there would be a complete financial reset, prosperity for all, a whole system reset. And that's how it's going to be, played out in the 3D reality And we know that the earth is just shifting into a higher dimension, higher frequency. So it's a frequency of love. So everything has to go accordingly, with that. So it all means the same thing, truly. But for those of you who don't know, I often receive many of my visions in the form of energy or colors. So it's like what we're seeing being played out in our 3D reality right now is truth being revealed, dark to light, deep-rooted emotions being brought to the surface due to this virus, mass arrest, chaos, all these topics, all of these things that seem to be really coming up and are about to be revealed to us, right? Or are already being revealed, truly. But when I see it from an energetic level or from like a higher dimensional level, I just see light. I see light sweeping the planet, going into every dark corner, every nook and cranny, and exposing it to the light, consuming it. Or I see the entire planet engulfed in this powerful, forceful light. Like, it's like we're in the eye of the storm. That's how it's been shown to me right now. We're in the eye of the storm. And I don't know how long we're going to be in the eye of the storm. But that is where we are. It's like we're in this shell of light, and it's shaking and it's vibrating the planet, and it's pulling out the most dense, lowest vibrational energies that have just been festering beneath the surface. Okay. It's purging, it's clearing. And that's how it looks to me on an energetic level. And now it just depends how you look at it, because how that is going to play out in the 3D reality is exactly what's happening. And something came to me, which I'm sure many of you know. I mean, Corona has to do with the sun, and it also means crown. So think about that. We're receiving all these upgrades from the sun, these energies. And I mean, multiple things we're receiving these energies from. But so it has to do with the sun, and then it has to do with the crown. And so the thought came to me, and I'm like, that's just like a metaphor for what is actually happening. It's like the crown chakra of the planet is being activated. That's ultimately what is happening. Every chakra is being cleansed and cleared and realigned and activated. And this virus or whatever, it's just, maybe it represents the actual us being able to, as a planet, aligning that crown chakra and these energies from the sun. It has to do with all of it. Just a thought. It just came into me like that. I'm like, oh, that's kind of different. So yeah, and of course, as empaths and sensitive souls, we want justice. We want justice. And there are going to be many angry people if these truths come out. And rightfully so. But as light workers, we know, and we ultimately want, we're trying to accomplish love. So yes, we want justice for what has been done. But most importantly, we want love. We want this heaven on earth reality. We just want peace. We want it to be done and over with so we can move on to this new era, right? And everybody's doing exactly what they need to do, whether they believe in the ascension process or not, whether they're awake to it or not. As I've said so many times, we're all on our own individual mission. So you have some that are here to expose the lies. That's their desire, that's their drive and their focus. And then some are here to research. Some look at it scientifically and mathematically, and some are in the military. I mean, every single person is an essential piece to this puzzle, this ascension puzzle, for us to shift. They truly are. Even the dark, lower vibrational energies, it all has to exist for this to happen, as hard as that is to accept. And what we're watching is just it playing out in our 3D reality. So, that's ultimately what we're going for. And that's why it's so important to hold that vision on that and not get lost in the anger, because what we truly want is love. We just want love and happiness and heaven on earth. And I've also shared this with you before. Because, when I see these injustices, of course I get angry. How could you not? But I don't attach to anything until it's right, like fully proven, because there are a lot of accusations towards certain individuals that, some, right, that truly haven't been proven. And how sad would that be if we're accusing certain people of these horrific things and they truly had nothing to do with it? That's why it comes down to, you have to listen to yourself. Because yeah, we could say the media has lied to us and we've been lied to by so many people, but then you also got to watch what you're seeing on alternate news areas like YouTube or whatever, because this is also just stuff that is just being told to us as well. So you really have to listen to yourself. Okay? That's truly the most important thing, and don't attach to any one thing. The bottom line, the one thing you can attach to as a light worker is that we're trying to manifest heaven on earth. We're here to ascend the planet, to shift into a higher vibration of love, to be there for others, to comfort and love and share our light. That's the main thing you can attach to. It's truly the only thing. And the way the rest of it plays out, that's the way it plays out. And as I've said before, I have a very strong feeling that it's going to be something we did not expect at all. It's going to be better, obviously, but it's it's going to be something a lot different, I think, than what we're actually expecting. So the main thing, we can attach to love. That is a safe place to attach. But what I was going to say, yes, it's okay to get angry. These things are hurtful that we see. People do things to each other that are hurtful and sad. And, but what you can do with that anger is you can channel that into a very powerful force of love. And I've shared this before as well. When I feel that come in sometimes, that anger, and you feel helpless and you want to help these people who have been exposed to these horrible things, or you're looking at the people that you believe have done these things, and it upsets you. So there's that moment that comes in where you just want to beat the crap out of them. Let's not lie here. I mean, you get that angry. You want to do to them what they have done to somebody else. Now, what you can do with that instead, because that is a very lower vibrational feeling, right? Revenge. That's a low one. We know this. But what you can do is take that anger, okay, that force, and transmute that into love. So, I mean, you could just visualize it coming out of your hands, but you're just like, "Argh!" But it's love at the same time. It's so hard to explain how I visualize it. But it's a force, just a force of love. Like you're just pummeling them with light and love. It's a love-filled light of just healing and change and transmuting and just showing them what love and light is, because these people obviously don't know what that is. They're in a very low state of consciousness. Which is just opposite ends of the spectrum here, right? But that's what you can do, is just show them that love with a force, like tough love almost, in a sense. That's a way you can transmute the anger if you want to keep yourself in a higher vibrational state. Okay? Hope that made sense. Like I said, I get a lot of my visions in different ways that are hard to explain. So I do my best when it comes to that. So I pulled a few cards from my Starseed Oracle deck, and the first one that flew out was Cracked Open. It says, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. And this is the message that goes with that card. It said, don't let the weight and density of the world squash your tender spirit. Instead, let it call even more of it home, into your body, at the center front of your life. It's through the extreme pressure of life's trials that diamonds are cultivated. It's when things are at their darkest that we cultivate proper faith and our light is ignited. It's through the crumbling that we can allow our wounds to be alchemized. Let your pain, sorrow, and losses make you, not break you. Let life alchemize your tragedies into gold. Be open to being cracked open, wide open. It's the difficult times that help us grow in leaps and bounds, and in ways we could only dream were possible. But first, they have to crack us open. I just lost where I was. Okay, wide open. No, okay. Hold on. My phone like stopped and then okay. Sometimes it hurts like hell. It's nature's way. Whether you let it happen or not, it's going to happen. So surrender to the process. It's how the light gets in. When your heart cracks open, a space is created for your soul to more fully enter. When your soul cracks open, a space is created for the grace of the Holy Spirit to enter. Let your trials, your sorrows, your pains, and your losses transform you into more and more of yourself. Stay open to the possibility that your tragedies, your losses, your sorrows, and your hurt happened for you, not to you. Bless the thing that broke you down and cracked you open, because the world needs you open. Surrender to the alchemy of life. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay. And how I said, it's like the cracking has begun of this shell. And that's for each individual on the entire planet. So the light is shining through. It has to be brought up so the light can see it. It has to be cracked open for the light to consume it. And for us to be able to look at what's going on, though it is fear and there's a lot of tragedy, there's all these things going on, it takes that sometimes all the time, really, for us to look to a higher power, to start going within, to ask questions, to become curious, because we're at our lowest. And this pressure that the earth is currently under is creating this new earth. So everything has to be cracked wide open and brought into the light in order for us to move to where we're trying to go here. So, that's the alchemy of it. It's transforming all of this into this new earth that we've been working to create for so long. And how it says rock bottom. For many people, for the planet, this is like rock bottom. We're getting to the bottom of things. We're pulling the densest energy out and exposing it, because it has to be exposed. We know this. All right. Next one out is lifting the veil, questioning everything. Anything unaligned must go. It says things aren't always as they seem. This era is one of uncovering mistruths so we can remember ancient truths. Everything is in a state of recall and realignment. Anything that isn't in harmony with the planet will not survive. This goes for society and the world at large, as well as in our own lives. If you pull this card, you're being called to energetically scan your life for things that may no longer be a vibrational match for who you are and how you've grown. To dismantle the systems and waves of being that once served you and others but no longer do. Some starseeds are here to lift the veil between the seen and unseen worlds, to shine a light on things that are inauthentic or unaligned with the survival and well-being of Earth, to stand for and protect those who don't have a voice, to look deeper and question everything that previous generations did not. Some starseeds cannot tolerate things that aren't congruent. They're here to bring society and humanity back into harmony with the planet and the Creator at large. If we tolerate things in our life that aren't aligned and congruent with it, we add to the misalignment of the planet. You're being called to trust yourself, notice what's out of alignment, and then take the baby steps required to bring it back into harmony. This is no easy feat, but it's so worthwhile, both individually and for the planet. Absolutely. Wow. That's exactly what we're doing. Summed it up perfectly, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I love, because the majority of humanity has just tolerated things and has become numb to things that has been said to be normal. like tragedies and depression and sadness. Oh, well, that's just life, is what most people say. That's life, and you have to deal with it. We've been conditioned to believe that that's just the way it is. And that was something I struggled with my entire life, in this lifetime, because I never could accept that. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. It doesn't have to be this way. This isn't right. Nothing felt right. And for many light workers, that's how it is. Nothing felt right. Everything felt misaligned because it was. And we came here to realign, to restore everything, because that's our mission. We were supposed to come here and feel like things weren't right, because that's how we were going to remember that, oh, well, then we were supposed to come here to make it right, to change it, to transmute this, to shift the planet. Our consciousness is what's shifting it. So yeah, that summed that up perfectly. I love this deck. Okay, last one out. Trust the timing. Trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. So often, those who feel like they're here for a reason sense that time is running out, and they spend their life worrying that they might miss their moment. But the only way to miss your life or your moment is to spend your time worrying about missing it. It's never too late to answer a calling, and you're never too old. The tides of your life are magnificently orchestrated to come in and out in perfect unison. Don't race ahead and ride a wave that was never meant for you. You'll waste your precious time and energy when instead you could be enjoying your life. Everything has a season, and you're being called to trust the one you're in. Don't let impatience, comparison, competition, or paranoia disturb the seeds. It seems that everyone has anxiety these days, constantly scanning for something they might have missed or a possible threat. Keeping our mind and body pointed in the same direction as our soul is near impossible at such reactive speeds. Right now, you're being reminded to take a breath and trust the wave you came in on, to trust the season you're in. Time isn't running out. There's plenty of time. There's no rush, and it's never too late. Beautiful. Perfect for what we're actually going through right now, especially for humanity as a whole. Because in my last video, I said, we do need to relax. And sometimes in the midst of all of this, because we're so close to what we're trying to accomplish, and we're so focused on it, and it consumes us, we forget sometimes to just enjoy the planet, to enjoy our families, to enjoy nature, our animals. So those are all godly, higher vibrational aspects of the planet. And that's such a very important way to connect with Source and your higher self, is to just do the little things, the things that sometimes we overlook. Those are, even though they feel so normal, right? Going on a walk or spending time with your kids or your loved ones, it feels just so normal and physical. But those feelings that are associated with these actions that we choose to take throughout each day, or activities that we choose, they're higher vibrational. The emotions are higher vibrational emotions and feelings. So that's why it's super important to do things that keep you in a state of joy. Because if you spend so much time worrying about what's not right in your life and what needs to change, you sometimes overlook where Source is already active in your life, if that makes sense. So yeah, those cards really summed it up perfectly. Yeah, this was a longer video, but I hope, the questions that I covered and other things I discussed helped. I've been trying my best as well to take some time out to just regroup, because we all are, as I went over being an empath, we're very sensitive to energies naturally. So the energy of the planet is tense and chaotic. So that is going to be felt by us as well. And each individual is also doing their own purging and clearing of the last bits, the remnants that needs to come out and be cleared. We're in those final stages, and we are in the eye of the storm. That's how it was presented to me. Like, So picture, that the image of like the eye of the storm, right? A hurricane. It's like a light hurricane, like it's just colors and light, and things are being pulled up and cleared and dissolved, and it's a crazy energetic storm. Okay. And there's a lot going on right now in our 3D reality and in the higher dimensions, every dimension really, that we can't fully understand or see. Okay, behind the scenes. It's being resolved as we speak. That's how it was explained to me. So everything is being resolved whether we're seeing it happen or not, and it will be revealed to us once the time is right. Once it has been resolved and this new earth can just emerge, just to spare any more chaos. And I'm not saying that it might not get a little more chaotic. I can't predict the future. That's not, I just don't do that. I receive my visions in the now moment and what is happening now, and that's how I see it. Is we're in the eye of the storm. And it's crazy. But there's also moments where you can find your peace within this, okay? It's just this purge, this cleanse. We know what's up. We know what's up, and we're doing exactly what we need to be doing. Everyone is doing their own individual mission. Like I said, whether they're aware of the ascension, whether they look at it the same way as us light workers do, it does not matter. Nobody is wrong here. They're doing what they need to be doing to bring this ascension into play, to make this happen. Okay? So just remember that. Always look at things from a higher perspective. It makes this process so much easier. All right, I'm going to get going. I will talk to you all soon. I love you. Bye.